Hello, my name is Sarah Williams. I am a teacher in Lee County. I teach middle school, 7th grade ELA. I have taught for 2 years. This is my third year teaching, so I'm going on my third year. This is my first time teaching in a public school. I taught my first 2 years at a very small private school, which was a great environment, great place to learn, and a great place to start. I did teach 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th because it was such a small school. I think that my favorite grade to teach would probably be 8th. I feel like in 6th grade, they are very young and very still learning the ropes, and that's great. I just sometimes like them to be prepared when they come into my class, and I didn't like how many times I had to remind 6th graders of what I expect from them, but that's just because they're young. So there's people out there that are great at teaching 6th grade, but it was not my favorite. 7th grade is great. I love my 7th graders, but 8th grade, I feel like they are in that time during middle school where they've gotten their groove and they know what they're doing, they know what I expect, and they know what works for them, what learning strategies work for them, and they know what they should be keeping up with. They know that they need to be doing their homework, all these great things. So I did love 8th grade. 9th grade was just a whole nother ballgame for me, but that's just my opinion. I teach ELA, like I said, and I do love teaching ELA. I also teach social studies this year, which is my first year teaching social studies. So I am learning a little bit as I go. I do enjoy teaching social studies. It is not my favorite, though. I do love teaching ELA. As a young reader in middle school, I can say I was not a big fan of reading. I had not found a book that I just absolutely loved and couldn't put down. It wasn't until high school that I found a love for reading when we started Shakespeare, which shocked me as much as it would probably shock anybody. I liked Shakespeare for some reason. I liked having to figure out what the meaning of what is being said was. I enjoyed the characters. I've always liked musicals, so I guess it being put into play format was nice to me. I enjoyed that. I read Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth was my favorite, Romeo and Juliet. All of those were amazing. I know that I enjoyed them the most, though, and I tapped into them so much because of the teacher that I had at the time. And our teacher would always have us read the plays together, and we would all be a character, and everybody would get to perform, not perform, but read the part, and you would get to just watch everybody interact with each other in a circle. And I just love that. I love that she put that much effort and let us do that because it really just brought it to life for us. She also is the one that got me hooked on Jane Austen novels. I read Pride and Prejudice with her, and then I also read the rest on my own. And Persuasion is probably my other favorite of Jane Austen, but those are just some of the authors that started my love for reading since I've graduated high school and started reading for fun in college, and now I cannot even begin to list the names of authors that I read, but I do love fiction and I love psychological thrillers, things like that. That's some of my favorite types of books and the genres. To say what the psychology of reading is, I feel like it's such a hard thing to pin down, but I just feel like it's how people interpret what they're reading. It's the study of how people interpret what they've read and the study of how people learn. And as a teacher, especially teaching ELA, it's very understandable to know that every student I teach is not going to read a passage, interpret the information, and spit the information out the same way. Some of them are going to need to hear it. Some of them are going to need to read it themselves. Some of them are going to need to read it, chop it up, look at what they've got to interpret, go back to it. Some of them are not going to do well at interpreting it at all because we all learn differently and we all read differently and interpret text differently. And using Shakespeare as an example, or poems and poetry as an example, not everyone is going to get the same thing out of something that the author has written. We might not all get what the author wanted us to get from it. We all might get very different things. We might interpret very different things. But I feel like that's what makes reading so interesting, and I feel like that's what makes me want to teach it more, is to find out what ways people learn reading and to figure out what ways I can help someone understand how to read better and understand how to enjoy reading, and to see all the different perspectives that people get when they read different things. My students are always coming up with completely different perspectives, sometimes things that I've not even thought of yet when they're reading and when they're dissecting a passage. So I really like that it can be so fluid almost and opinionated in some ways. So I do enjoy that about reading, and I'm really excited to get to learn more about the psychology of it in this class.